All right, guys, back in the whiteboard sessions. And so Finn, Sally, Noah, we're talking about relationships today. And so often relationships, honestly, right, they're so hard for you guys, right? They're challenging, right? Because someone who might be a friend one day, might be a friend of me the next day, might be like serious beef the next day, right? And it gets skibbity quick. What? Come on now. And your Riz, what? Your aura? Come on. What? Okay. You guys done with that? All right.
Yes.
So what we're talking about here today is just what I call the concentric circles of relationship. What does this look like, Finn? What does that look like to you?
A bullseye.
A bullseye, right? What's in the middle of that?
The core.
The core. And you're aiming for that, right? In relationship. And ultimately, you want to have as many people in your core as possible. But we're going to talk about this a little bit today and how this even works. Because for you guys, you just moved from out of state into another state, into a whole new culture. And finding friends has been, for some easier, for some more difficult, but it's just challenging, right? Like the older you get, the harder it is to kind of make friends. It's not like you show up on the playground and automatically like, oh, you're my friend, you're my friend. It's different, right? So we're gonna talk through the concentric circles of relationship today. So you guys ready for this? Mm-hmm. Yes, I love it. So concentric circles, Finn, you nailed it. This is the target, right? Like the core is the target. So I've written this out already, just ideas here. So you have your core relationships, your community, your crowd, and your acquaintances, right? And let's just talk through like who falls in to those categories. So the first one, acquaintances. Like what would an acquaintance be?
Classmates.
Okay, classmates. Okay, good. No, what do you think?
Like teammates.
Teammates, okay? Like, or in like you work at Noodles, so like your coworkers at Noodles, right? So those would be like acquaintances, right? And what's generally the first way that you, like, besides just, oh, this is my coworker, what is something that you do to begin to like maybe, hopefully move them towards a crowd status? What would you do, Noah?
Talk to them.
You talk to them. And what would you specifically say when you talk to someone?
You introduce yourself.
Oh, you'd introduce yourself. You want to practice this?
No.
No, I didn't think you would. So first of all, so it's number one, an intro, right? Like an introduction, like, hi, my name is Noah. Hey, I'm Jeff, nice to meet you, right? Like it's an introduction, right? Like, because if they don't know your name, do you think you'll ever move to a deeper level of relationship with them? No, not at all, right? And so you have an introduction. So what is something like your crowd of people? What would that look like? Like, let's talk about like your like classmate, but maybe more than a classmate. You know their name, and then what?
Maybe like hang out with them once or twice, or just kind of talk to them more.
How do you get to a space where you're hanging out with someone? What generally has to happen, right? You know their name, and then what?
You generally get like their number.
Get their number.
Start like, talking to them.
Okay,
And then
so
invite
like
them over to your house or something.
you invite them. Interesting, you invite them over. Exactly. That's the idea. Like you invite them into a closer ring of relationships. So we have an intro, then you have the invite, right? So that's like correlating. Okay, so now once you go to like, okay, from crowd, you hang out with a person a couple times and you're like, they're pretty skibbity. But then you're like, this person's pretty sigma. So with the sigma crowd, what do you want to do with that crowd, Sal? Like you go from, you want that, like them to be a part of your community. What's sometimes kind of a defining factor between if they're in my community or if they're in my crowd? Maybe it's something that you are passionate about, okay. So maybe before passion, what's something that comes before passion? You're at least interested in, right? Like fashion or like singing. You share a common interest, right? So you have a common interest. Otherwise, if it's, think about this, common interest. If you don't have a common interest, what are you gonna be doing with that person, right? Like, so Noah, for you, like you love rock climbing, right? Mm-hmm. So if you wanted to find a community, like what are you interested in? Rock climbing. So it would be really easy if you're like, hey, I'm gonna find, here's a person I see all the time at the rock climbing gym. So we clearly have a common interest, so they could be a part of your community, right? Because they're that shared interest. So you go from acquaintance, crowd to community, but this thing here, this core piece, think about how many people would you say are in your core? Like people that, like, these are the people that you love, the people that you trust, the people that you count on, the people that are like, hey, these are like my ride or die type people. Like, what would that be? Like, how many people do you think of when you don't have to say their name specifically, but like how many people can you like think in your mind, like these are the core to who I am?
I'm thinking maybe like 5 to 10 people.
5 to 10 people. Okay. Okay.
Well, I have 4.
No, you have 4 people. Okay. Sally, what do you think?
Yeah, probably 5 to 10 as well.
5 to 10. Okay. So one thing about this is that, okay, so for your core, think about what is something that you like, okay, so you know them deeply, you trust them, like just implicitly, like, hey, I trust them, and they trust you. So what would be like, you almost share like relational intimacy with them, right? Like closeness. And like intimacy is like the idea of like, I know you and I'm known by you, right? So that's the idea of intimacy. So right here, you have your, that says intimacy, whether it's spelled right or not. I'm just saying, guys, I'm dyslexic, leave me alone. So this is when you think about this, and you guys said, honestly, you said you have like 4 to 10 here, like literally 4 to 10 people, right? And so this is like, you have intimacy, but one of the things with this is that, so with your core, in order for someone to get to your core, what is something you share with them? A bond? Memories, okay. How about values, right? Like you have your core values. That matters in a big way, right? Like you're together, you're sharing like, hey, I value honesty, I value integrity, I value, like you're sharing those things together, right? And so for you guys, when you think about, okay, how many people do I really that I know? Because how many acquaintances do you think you have? Too many, okay? Finn, what'd you say?
A lot.
Okay. Noah, how about you?
Everyone?
Everyone, okay. There you go, wow, okay. So how many of those people would you actually like invite to do something?
Very few.
Okay, so we have like, okay, 10%. So let's go very few. 10%. Finn, how about you?
Maybe like 2.
Wow, okay, so 2. So that's out of 20, that's, once again, that's maybe 10%. So, or like less than 10%. So, okay, so then from that, you have this, how many of those people do you actually think will make the community cut, where you have a shared interest? And even with this, like you have values, this is a shared worldview. Like you see the world similar to this person, right? So how many people do you think make the cut from the crowd to the community?
Maybe half of that.
Like half of this, so 5%, okay?
Maybe like half of a little bit more than that.
Okay, so then from this 5%, obviously we go 4 to 10. Noah, you and I did this a couple weeks ago. We just talked through this, right? You were kind of having just a challenging time just with friends in relationship. And I think the older you get, the harder it can be. And what did this do for you when you saw this?
It gave me hope.
Gave you hope? That's awesome. There's another word you used, like it helps simplify, right? I think sometimes like with friends, because there's emotion, right? Like there's, I hope they like me. Everyone wants to be known and liked, right? And it matters so much. And so what this can do is even like, maybe not gamify it, but to a degree be like, hey, guess what? That person, they're an acquaintance level person. And I know sometimes you're like, you can't rate people like that. But do you on a regular basis rate people like that, like in our minds?
Yeah.
Right. It's not like fair or unfair, it just is, right? There's some people like, hey, you're their acquaintance. There's other people that you're their core. And so for you guys, you're about to start a new year of school. We're about to go to middle school, whole brand new space. You're about to finish high school and then move on with life. Sally, you're still in that like middle school, almost high school space. It's good, I know. But as you think about this next year, here's a great way to frame up your relationships, whether they be acquaintances, crowd, community, or core. You're welcome. I know this is absolute relational. This is so gold. Thank you, teenagers. I love you all.
Love you.
We hope you enjoyed our whiteboard session today.
I hope the family, them being a part, you enjoyed it. Please do me a favor, do us a favor, like, share, subscribe. We'd love to hear your thoughts on it as well. So thanks so much for watching today.